The Major League Baseball offseason has officially begun. Congrats to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are back-to-back World Series champions, and they're a dynasty. The first team since the late 90s Yankees to win back-to-back World Series. And those Yankees won 3 in a row in 98, 99, 2000, won 4 out of 5. Well, the Dodgers have won 3 out of 6. 2020, 2024, 2025. A chance for a three-peat for the first time since those late 90s Yankees. And that's when we utter the word dynasty. And it is a dynasty. As much as you might not want to count 2020 because the shortened season, they still have a ring to show for it. They got 2 real rings to show for it in full seasons this year and last year. And this team is not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to be up there again next year, unless the Mets could take them down. And that's something we'll be talking about all day, every day, as the free agency period is beginning officially 5 days after the end of the World Series, which was Saturday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Thursday into Friday, we'll have official free agency, maybe some signings to announce by the end of the week. But for now, congrats. And, man, you feel for the Blue Jays. So many chances to win. IKF, if he has a bigger lead at third base, probably scores in the bottom of the ninth after Rojas tied it in the top of the ninth. Miguel Rojas, the hero, and then Bo Bichette, his homer in the first. You thought, that had Toronto on fire. Then Will Smith comes with the go-ahead homer in extras. And then again, runner at third, less than 2 outs, something the Mets couldn't do. Alejandro Kirk grounds a double play. The Mets couldn't score either with the runner at third and less than 2 outs. And the Blue Jays did the same, but what a season for them. And they just fell short to the better team. Dodgers caught every break possible, man. Even Will Smith, his foot came off the bag and then got back on it by this much to send the game to extra innings, essentially. So it took a couple breaks, but the Dodgers prevail, and now we could talk about the hot stove. And officially for the Mets, free agents yesterday. 8 official Mets became free agents. Griffin Canning, Ryan Helsley, Starling Marte, Cedric Mullins, Tyler Rogers, Gregory Soto, Ryan Static, Jesse Winker. And we'll talk about all this. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a segment on those guys and who stays, who goes. But today's kind of the general beginning of it. So we're still moving on from the season, but, it's here. The offseason is officially here. And Pete Alonso and likely Edwin Diaz will join them by the end of the week upon opting out of their deal. So that'll be official, again, the 5 days after. They have 5 days to negotiate. Obviously, the Mets and Pete doesn't seem like anything's getting done in that period, maybe sometime this offseason. And Edwin Diaz, you would figure he does opt out. So it's all here. It's all fresh right in front of us. And by the end of the week, the action is really going to start to begin. And I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun show this offseason. Our first full offseason of Mets Daily. And I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Smash that thumbs up on this video. Scan that code. Become a member of the Mets Daily Insider family for just $5 a month. Cheaper than a cup of coffee. And subscribe to my YouTube, at Jake Brown Live. And follow me on X, on Instagram. And also, please follow Fantasy Loser HQ. I'll be running their social medias. I started yesterday. So a little gig I'm doing on the side right now and really trying to grow their community. It's about bad beats, punishments in your fantasy football leagues. So relatable really to everyone. A lot of fun humor content we'll be doing. So follow Fantasy Loser HQ on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. Please follow us. Appreciate the support. Well, some news over the weekend. It's not official yet, but we got to talk about it. It seems like it's emerging that Justin Willard is going to be the Mets pitching coach. The wording is he's emerging as their next pitching coach. It's not official. The closing in on it. It's all these wordings to say it's basically happened, but it's not official. And another big name adding to Carlos Mendoza's coaching staff, the 35-year-old, the front runner for the job. He's currently the director of pitching for the Red Sox, working largely in the pitching development space. And this is a guy that is highly regarded in Boston. And when you look at what the Red Sox staff did this year, led by Garrett Crochet, look at what Aroldis Chapman this year. I mean, Willard did a fantastic job with that pitching staff. The Mets finished 18th in ERA this past season, with the rotation struggling mightily in the second half of the season. So Willard's going to come in here and join a staff that already has Troy Snicker as their hitting coach, has Jeff Albert as director of hitting, Kai Correa as the bench coach. Still need to find a first base coach, as Antoine Richardson didn't agree to a deal. And it seems like they're getting close, I've heard, to getting a third base coach. So I think we're going to know probably the official hiring here of Willard as the pitching coach and who the third base coach is maybe by the end of the week. I think the Mets want to get their coaching staff locked in as they enter free agency because you never know what relationships certain free agents may have with a certain coach that they may want to play for. So I think that is important this week that the Mets don't rush it, but they kind of get these hires done so their staff is fully in place. So guys know. And again, it probably comes down to money, location, family. But it could, if, like, for example, if Kai Correa, and there was an ex-Giant that loved working with Kai Correa, and they come to New York for a good dollar amount, I think that could help. So I think it will be important that the Mets lock in the staff. But, Willard seems like people love him. And what he did with the Red Sox, can't be overlooked. And I like this hiring. You come from a team that one was a winner. I think what the Mets are establishing, and I've talked about it, is winners and a winning coaching staff. Kai Correa coming from winning teams. Giants were winners when he was there. The Guardians winners when he was there. Jeff Albert coming from, he's been here, but prior to that with the Cardinals, made the playoffs every year. Troy Snitker, outside of this year, due to Astros injury, made the playoffs every year and won a World Series. The Mets are putting together coaches that come from places of winning programs, and I think that's what the team needs. They got the winning coaches. Now it's time to get the winning players, and that's really the next step in this Mets development process. We could talk about the coaching staff all we want, but the roster and David Stearns has to be full of winners. And that's something every day we're going to talk about guys who hopefully were winners. Also good players, of course, but that won. The Mets, another addition to the staff over the weekend, this one looking closer to officials. The Mets have hired Rachel Folden as their new Double-A Binghamton hitting coach. She comes from the Cubs minor league system. Love it. The Mets, she was the Iowa Cubs hitting coach. So she comes from the Cubs organization, Iowa Cubs. And I like it. Listen, I think this is important. I don't agree with anyone who says, women don't belong in baseball. They never play. This is important. Women do a tremendous job. She is noted as a trailblazer for women in baseball. And I think that it's important that teams get with the program here and get with the times. And, women run the world. Let's be real. And I think a hitting coach role and Rachel Folden, I'm sure the Cubs organization is going to miss her. Greg Huss, the host of a podcast about everything Cubs related, said a massive blow to the Cubs organization. Folden's fingerprints are everywhere you look here. A big loss for the Cub organization, one of the best hitting minds for player development in the game. So Rachel Folden comes here with high regard, and Double-A's got highly regarded Mets prospects and guys who just played there last year, some who went to Triple-A at the end of the year, some who might start the season in Double-A, like maybe an A.J. Ewing. So I think she's going to be working with some future New York Mets talent. So an important role here for Rachel Folden. Congrats to her, and welcome to New York, and welcome to really upstate New York and Binghamton. So seems like a great hire, highly regarded. All right, folks, let's go to your comments from Friday's show. Happy free agency. Again, we'll get into names and rumors. We've been doing a lot of that. We'll continue to do that every day. Today's kind of a reset, set the tone, and let's go. From Friday's Mets Daily, I would rather him as the second pitcher to pick up this year. He's a number 2, says Los Tajes. The issue is Framber Valdez is going to be paid like a number 1. So you might call him a number 2, but $30 million a year is a number 1 pitcher. So I don't know if the Mets want to do that. From NJ Builder 95, I think the Mets should trade starters they have, sign 4 aces, and McClain to make up for next year's rotation as the rookies progress. You have an ace pitcher or 3 to trade. Which listen, NJ Builder, I understand this is just completely out of control. The Mets aren't buying 3 ace pitchers. It's just not happening. I think people are under the assumption the Mets have all the... The Mets don't have... I know everyone thinks the Mets have unlimited money. They're probably going to have $100 million or so to spend. You're talking about signing 4 aces. Your $100 million is gone and you did nothing else. You didn't get a first baseman. You didn't get a center fielder. You didn't upgrade at second. So it's just not reality. If the Mets get an ace, it's going to be 1, and then they'll go with the guys they have. Maybe make a trade for a cheaper one that has 1 year remaining, like a Skubal or a Freddie Peralta. But they're not going out there and getting multiple aces. It's just not reality that you're living in. From Deep Phillips 4803, call every team about their one starter weight, no maybe 5, and then they get 20, no 30. If you're going to give up the farm, got to go for big fish that's young. Yes. Well, the Mets have the young ones in the organization already. Another 2 years for Diaz extension, make it 4 for 80. I do that, maybe 4 for 85. Radiant Valor and OP says that. Yeah, I think the cheapest is 4 for 85. I think it might be closer to 4 for 90 for Edwin Diaz. Something around $22 million a year is what I'm looking at. From William Foley, Mets fans and Seaver, Grote, Harrelson era. Great times, great memory, 69 Mets. Jeffrey Suarez, Valdez still got it in him. We need him. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just a lot of money and some question marks with what happened with crossing up his catcher. Is that the kind of personality you want in this clubhouse? Might not be. From XX Killer Dog, Valdez plus an ace. I mean, listen, Valdez is regarded as an ace. The money he's getting is an ace. So you're not getting Valdez plus an ace. Just not happening. Ken Mosca 5041 says, Jake, are you still comfortable with the catching situation? I want another catcher. I think at the very least a depth catcher. I've said this over and over. The Mets can't go into playoff push games in September with a guy that worked in Whole Foods in the offseason. As great of a story as Hayden Sanger was, he's not a Major League Baseball catcher. He's more of a minor league catcher. They need a guy that can hit when Alvarez inevitably gets hurt, or if Luis Torrens does get hurt. You need another catcher. This organization lacks catching depth more than anyone. And, I don't even know if Alvarez is the guy yet. We've seen snippets here and there of him, but the consistency is just not there. And he still has some defensive mishaps. We all love Luis Torrens because he's like a god defensively, but he doesn't hit. So the Mets need a catcher that can do it all. I talked about Austin Wynns, picking him up, a veteran 35-year-old backup. Get someone like that, man. Even if it's Gary Sanchez, not great defensively, but Gary can hit. Gary can hit one out of the ballpark. Gary's a guy once or twice a week. If he has to play, you're comfortable with him playing. And you just can't have a black hole if there's an injury. And there's inevitably, at the catching position, going to be an injury. It's just today's game. Catchers don't stay healthy. And Alvarez has never stayed healthy. So go get a catcher. I think the pipe dream that I wanted of Shea Langoliers doesn't happen. But, hey, if the Mets moved on from Alvarez, maybe, talk to the A's and see if you can get Shea Langoliers. From Ty Johnson, 1, Edwin Diaz or bust. I agreed. I talked about Friday, the list. It's a slim list of decent closers. Bring back Diaz. Theo Isaac, let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Nicholas Browski says Diaz, 4 years, $110 million. Yeah, I don't think it'll be that high. It might be, but you're talking about what? That's 25, 26. That's about 26.5 or so a year. I think that's probably more than he would get. I would hope you don't have to go to that much. So that's it for Friday's comments. Keep on commenting below. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe below. Follow me at Jake Brown Live. Follow Fantasy Loser HQ as well on all socials. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, Tuesday. Let's talk hot stove, baby. Congrats to the Dodgers. Mets. We got to take them down next year. Let's go Mets. Thanks for watching. Mets Daily.